Ladies and gentlemen, look at Kong, the eighth wonder of the world.
When I think about the evolution of Kong, you can't take it lightly, and there's a lot of responsibility within that. And all you can do is respect the creatures as characters themselves.
In the very first story, Kong is referred to as the eighth wonder of the world. And I think Kong exists to inspire wonder.
Kong is such a huge part of the mythology of cinema, and it tells this incredible story that is really timely, dealing with the issues that we're still dealing with today.
You know, there's something out there, man.
Oh, there's a lot out there.
Kong represents the collective fears of the unknown, because there's something else out there that is stronger than us, that we aren't really in control as much as we think we are.
Ancient species owned this earth long before mankind, and if we keep our heads buried in the sand, they will take it back. Monsters exist.
Kong is film history. Before Star Wars, before everything, it's what blew open the doors for so many people on what was possible or imaginable with cinema.
I love the original 33 motion picture. There's a tone in that film that's very honest and innocent.
I've always loved the Kong movie from 1933. I love the story of it. The giant beast with a heart.
In the 1933, it's about who really is the monster. And there's this point where Kong is the threat, but then we realize that the threat is really the human characters who come into that environment.
He's always been king of his world, but we'll teach him fear.
In the original one, when he came to New York, I think people felt for him that he was in this place that they were just out to get him, that he was like sort of unfairly accused because he was just trying to protect himself.
King Kong movies are essentially almost like remakes of themselves. You know, the original King Kong, 76 Kong, and Peter Jackson's King Kong are all the same movie, essentially, you know, and King Kong dies at the end and it's really sad.
Well, Denham, the airplanes got him. It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast.
Kong Skull Island was the first time where, you know, it was a totally new story and Kong survives at the end.
We didn't want to tell the Beauty and the Beast story and the story of that Kong. And the exciting thing became, how do we tell a new story within that mythology?
You can't kill Kong, Colonel. Kong is God on this island.
Kong is a thinking creature. He can work with tools. He has feelings. He obviously has feelings and emotions. And it was really cool with this film to kind of explore that even further with, you know, him being able to communicate with sign language and actually having him in his own way say what he's feeling and thinking.
A lot of the King Kong films, there's this dynamic of he falls in love with, you know, a beautiful lady and wants to save her, and that's the kind of thrust of the film. This one was really interesting because the person that Kong has the most intimate relationship with is a child. This was a kind of iteration of this movie where there was something different, and I like that about it.
Let's go back to one.
Reset.
The approach to King Kong has changed over the years. You can look at it from a special effects perspective. I mean, he started out as a stop-motion creature, and then in the Showa era, Toho stuff, he turned into more of a man in a suit. I think he's a character that's always been about the height of technological evolution in cinema, you know? So wherever those movies are made, it's kind of like that's the cutting edge. That's almost like the representation of it.
We have this great responsibility to take that iconography that's resonated with people for decades and then create something incredible and new and fresh within that.
Action! Jordan was even influenced by the original stop-motion puppet. The original stop-motion puppet had a brown rabbit fur on it, and wanting to go to a brown fur and kind of own that look of Kong.
Magnificent.
As much as I would love for Kong to be a man in a suit again, or even a stop-motion one. Not to say that, you know, somebody's not going to crack that at some point, but it's pretty established that at this point, once you go CGI with a character like that, it's kind of hard to go back. I have the advantage doing a big monster movie these days with all the films that's come before me. The original King Kong, those special effects still hold up, not because they look photorealistic. I mean, you look at that, you know that it's a stop motion thing, but it looks awesome and it still holds up. And that's the vibe we wanted. We wanted our monsters to look really great, even if they don't look 100% real. They hold up over time.
Still not a fan, huh?
I think audiences like King Kong because he's like a pet, he's cute, he's scary, he's furry. There's an innocence to Kong that I think is really important to his character. You feel bad for him when he's taken out of his element, and that's generally what happens in King Kong movies.
I think people can really relate to Kong. He has an emotional quality to him that you don't see in other giant monster movies.
What's cool about him is that even though he's this gigantic monster, he's still somewhat close to being human, at least to the perspective that we can imprint on him in a way that makes sense to us. Like, we know what he's going through, what he's feeling, because he's enough like us.
You know, Gia's parents were killed on the island, but Kong saved her. I made a promise then and there to protect her. And I think that in some way, he did the same.
Human beings relate to apes, and Kong's a giant ape, where it's harder to relate, in a sense, to a great lizard, you know, a mutant lizard like Godzilla in some ways.
I think there's something really beautiful about the fact that Kong is king. He doesn't choose to use that power in a way that's harmful. He defends when he needs to, but for the most part, he's actually a peaceful character. So I think there's something quite lovable and redeeming about that fact.
Kong is a complex kind of being. He's not a gorilla, he's not a beast, he's a being. And it's just something that we don't understand yet. And I think that's the great part about the mythology of King Kong, and that's why people love King Kong.
That's Kong. He's king around here.
People come back to Kong for a lot of reasons. Every part of what the original Kong was is the best individual pieces of cinema. There's incredible visuals. It takes you to a different world. It has things you haven't seen before. It takes you on a journey. You're invested in the characters, and you're invested in this creature. So it's really the best of all possible worlds as far as blockbuster filmmaking goes.
The legacy of it definitely is weighted on my shoulders, and knowing that every fan that has been watching it since they were younger, it means so much to them. You want to get it perfect.
With the evolution of Kong, I look at Skull Island as he's a little bit younger, and in my film, I see him as kind of washed up and he's tired. And that was the trajectory that I knew that I wanted to take with him. I wanted to give him, you know, a beard like mine. I really put myself into Kong. That's kind of the fun of him.
Kong is an icon of motion pictures. We're captivated by Kong's power and majesty, by his ability to terrify and inspire awe and wonder.